So today we're going to have a look at light and how that can affect your tonal shading when you're drawing objects. Understanding how these shadows work are going to help you with your drawing, so it's best to practice shading geometric forms to start with. Okay, so the first thing to look at, you can see my light source is coming from this side, from the right. You can see it's lighter here, mid, and then darker here. So the first thing I would advise to do is to put your light tone onto everything. I prefer to do the dark shadows first. So you can see here we're looking at this area here and then moving up to that area. So I always think of it in terms of if you were to draw on the object itself, where would your pencil go? So on a rounded object, your pencil would clearly come out and round. So always try to shade in that way when you're drawing. What I'm then going to do is put on the lighter and mid-tones. When you're adding tone to a shadow, you want to look out for the shadow to be darker near the object and lighter further away. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at a cylinder. You can see there's a clear shadow starting here. You can see the shadow beginning to form here, and it gets darker as the object moves away from the light. Notice how you can see the curve there and the ellipse shape that's formed at the top. So the first thing to do is capture that ellipse at the top. Draw the sides. Careful to make them parallel to each other, and then be sure to draw the curve at the bottom to describe the fact that this is coming out and not just flat. Ideally, this curve should be the same as this curve up here to give the complete illusion. So then when we're shading, we're going to start with the light shade all over to start with to describe the solid. Now you'll notice that in this one I'm shading up and down, and then I'm curving just at the bottom just to help the illusion of the curve, and at the top as well. So let's take a look at this shape. This is just a lamp. It behaves in the same way as a cone would to shade. So you can see by now, following the rules of shapes, a cone shape is curved at the bottom, and also when you shade a cone, you find that the light goes down in stripes and then curves at the bottom. Just draw out the start of a triangle, so you can see straight away where your direction is going to come from, and then we've got a curved base. So if my light is going to come from the same direction as all the others, it's going to be a light tone all over to show the solid. There is our cone. So how does all this translate into drawing an actual object? Well, looking at the gnome, you can see that there are several of the shapes and the forms that we've looked at in our shading. So if we're looking at, for example, his hat, see that is most like a cone shape, and you've got the shadows on either side and the curve at the front. Things like the cheeks are most like the sphere shape. Then you've got cylinder shapes here, and then his actual body is also a cone shape. When you understand how to look for light in your objects and then get the shading correct, that's when you get a really good three-dimensional drawing.